Well, good morning, everybody. How are you? I thought that we would go ahead and do a mining stream today. And so, yeah, welcome aboard. How are you? It's Monday, but it's President's Day here. And so I happened to have a day off of work and thought I would do a little bit of mining this morning, and we'll see how that goes. So, yeah, we're going to start out here at ARC L1 Wide Forest Station. Right now, Ninetales is actually happening over here. And I can't remember what that's, with the language over the top of it, I can't remember. Oh, it's CRUL4. There's a curiosity of mine. I thought I would double check. We are going to not be heading into that area. We're just gonna do a little mining. It's a little pre-flight on the old Prospector. Never a bad thing to do right before you take off. And I've got the FLTR XL and a couple of Brants on board. It's a pretty vanilla loadout that I run with, and we will head out with that. I thought I would go to Lyria first, see how long that takes, and then maybe hit the Iron Halo after that. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. You never know when you start one of these how long it's going to take, or how long it's going to take you to locate something to mine. So you just kind of play it by ear. Well, I'm in the elevator here. I will check one other thing. Good, that looks like that's working good. Yeah, things are looking all right. So onto the Prospector. I think this iteration, I have a couple Prospectors, and this one has the Atlas drive on it for the Quantum drive. And like I said, an FLTR XL, a couple of Brants. And let's go Quantanium mining. Always do love this ship. Never gets old. It's a little gray out today. It was very warm yesterday, up around 47, 50, 50-ish or so. Absolutely no complaints about that. A little chillier today, but a day when, any day you don't have to go to work is a good day. So, especially if it's a day you're actually getting paid for work. So, kind of nice having. I don't know why my company has President's Day, but we do. And I am not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. So off we go. We are going to hit Art Corp first, and then we're going to pivot to the port side and head over to Lyria and do a little looking around for some Quantanium. And depending on how long that takes, we will probably take that back to the refinery and hopefully get out to the Iron Halo at least one time as well, but we'll just play it by ear here. So I haven't checked the Robert Space Industries site to figure out kind of when Ninetales and Jumptown are kind of leapfrogging each other. I didn't even, I knew that they had talked about Jumptown and Ninetales kind of coming back, but, I'm sure they must have a schedule. But I did notice right off the bat this morning when I logged on that Ninetales was happening. So Ninetales actually, the last time I did it was a lot better than the first few times I did it. Like I don't know if I just got lucky and it was on a good server. But it absolutely was behaving a lot better than the first time that I tried it, the first time Ninetales had come around. So I would absolutely say, Ninetales was fun the last time I did it. So I would absolutely suggest people take a look at that as well. That's a fun event. So with Jumptown, I know me and an org member had a little fun at Jumptown the other day. Kind of brought a Connie Taurus in, cleaned up all the air support and the ships outside, and we just kind of went in guns blazing, and I got killed in the airlock, but he managed to actually stay alive, and it was I wound up in Klesher. he didn't, so and I don't normally do that kind of thing, that's for sure. So Mining is definitely more my speed. Arc L1's kind of cool, though, because it's got both a gunshot and an armor shot right next to each other in the Galleria. So that makes it easy for kind of staging when Jumptown's on Lyria. So off we come to Lyria here. We're just gonna pick some place that's in the sun and get down there and start looking around for some Quantanium. See how we do. So pivot around here and just kind of, Love Ridge will be just fine, I think. We'll just kind of head into Love Ridge and we will head on in and see how we do. Now, I normally fly two. I mentioned this a lot in my stream, but I normally fly 2 sticks. But usually, as I come into mine, I switch to mouse and keyboard. I learned mining mouse and keyboard. I actually like the precision, like for FPS or mining. Oh, there's definitely a ship there, though. Let me kind of get a sense of what's happening there, just so I know. Interesting. Just kind of disappeared too. So. Well, that could be fun. We'll head in a different direction than he was heading. And see, and just kind of keep an eye on our radar and make sure we're good there. We'll get down here about, I don't know, maybe 1,500, 2,000 off the deck, and I won't do any active pinging, I guess, knowing that I've seen his ship there for a moment. Right off the bat, I'll probably try and put a little distance. A lot of singles here right off the bat. That's a good sign. And we'll just kind of look around now. And of course, any doublers, which is 2 or more rocks.
The ongoing Ninetales blockade means that global trade routes have been interrupted, and essentials are in short supply. Crusader is calling on those traders and haulers who are able to deliver much-needed supplies to the station. Prices will be adjusted to reflect the ongoing hostilities. Thank you in advance.
That's a fun part of Ninetales, doing the bringing in the medical supplies and that type of thing. But here's what we're looking for, right? This is right off the bat. We've gotten lucky, and there was a lot of singles in there right off the bat too. So. We're 5 minutes here and we've already found our first cluster. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be something in here to mine, but you know what? We're off to the races. So, first rock we look at of the day, and that is going to be a 7%er. So not quite what we're looking for, but a few more rocks to scan here. That's a 5,300 mass at 2%. That's a 3,800 mass at 3%. This is a 6,000 mass at 45%. It's too bad. I'm not kitted to get that one. That would be easily a uni. But just over 6,000 with the Lancet without having a surge on board is a no-go. So. That's a tough one to swallow right there. That would be the kind that if we had a mining gadget where we could toss on there to help break her down. Now, there are occasions where you can build energy into those, but this isn't going to be a bad one either. That's a 3,300 mass at 38%. So, Sylvan Martin, sorry. Sylvain saying he hunted earlier on Lyria for 40 minutes, couldn't find anything, and here I am right off the bat. Yeah, I can appreciate. Sylvan, I understand how that goes. It happens to me too. It happens to all of us. It's one of those things. It's not great. You know what I mean? When you spend a lot of time looking around, I just want you to know. I mean, I truly do feel your pain. And hey, Sambo, how you doing? Good morning. How you doing, citizen? I appreciate you stopping in. So this is too bad, right? This is a nice rock. This is a 6,000 mass at 45%. I mean, that's a full load of Quantanium right there. Now, but I won't be able to. I'm going to hit G a couple times. Now, a lot of people have been asking me, like, how do you get it to where you can articulate your laser? If you hit G a couple of times, it will actually make it so you can spin the mining head a little bit. I'm actually going to try and put a little, there are occasions when you can put energy into these, but I'm not expecting this to be able to, me to put any energy in this one. There is the other rock over there, which is a consolation prize, which isn't a bad one. It's like a 38%er, a little over 3,000 mass, which I will be able to put energy into. But I at least will take a crack at this and see if I can build some energy into it for a minute or so. I'm not expecting to be able to. This is definitely over my limit. But you know what? If I don't at least try and put the laser on it, you know, you'll never know. Now, like I said, I'm not expecting to be able to take this rock. If I had a surge, I could easily do this double surge technique. I don't have that this time. I have an FLTR XL on the top, then I have 2 brands. So, you know, I'm not going to spend a lot of time at this. I'm putting a little in and it's collapsing out. So, yeah, I think what we're going to do is, I didn't mean to turn the laser off, but I think what we're going to do is head over to the consolation prize and make that happen. Was it this guy over here? Yeah, it was this guy. Put gear down. That was silly me. So, this is still a 38%er. It's not, you know, not terrible, not great. Let me go ahead and reach for, you know, oh my stars, I didn't bring my other phone in here, so I don't have QuantCalc available to me. But let's do just some quick math in our head. So we got a 380 mass 3 times, right? So 350, 350, 700, a little over 1,000. There's over 20 SCU. There's probably like 23 SCU or so in this guy. So, you know, this isn't terrible. It certainly isn't the uni that was over there, but you can see, obviously, it's a lot easier to build energy into this guy. And we're going to be able to do it. So Sylvain says, I gave up on Lyria and trying my luck in the Halo right now. Sylvain, you know, you may, if you hang out here a little bit, I'm going to actually mine here and get this one. And then I'm going to head out to the Halo myself. So, you know, maybe, you know, hopefully, you know, your fortunes change. And I will, you know, generally when I go out to the Halo, I spend a lot of time out there. But I did last time I did my mining stream, I did ask somebody, you know, somebody asked if I wouldn't mind going out to the Halo, and I thought I'd do it. So, definitely kind of checking the power situation here. Let me kind of fade back out. Okay, we're in pretty solid shape. It's only a 1.78 instability. It does swing a little bit, but not terrible. Daniel Masson is saying, finally catching you live and enjoying the QuantCalc app. Hey, Daniel, I really appreciate that that the app is working good for you. We're trying to make QuantCalc a super simple thing. There's some updates that are going to be coming for it, and you've already paid your bucks, so you're going to be entitled to them. And so we're not trying to make $1 million off of QuantCalc, you know, but it's a tool that we had on our website for the longest time, and you know, and I do think that there's some upside to it for sure. So I'm really glad to hear that feedback that it's working good for you. And of course, I will say, you know, not to shamelessly plug QuantCalc forever, I'm not going to do that today, but just to say, if you have some suggestions, we're open to them. You know, that's absolutely for sure. We are definitely open to suggestions for QuantCalc, and just want you to know that. You know, if you think of something like, man, it would really be handy if it did this or that, don't be afraid to come. You know, send me a DM or, you know, look me up in a Discord, and we're always interested in, you know, people's feedback and that type of thing. So I do appreciate it. All right, so we're kind of monkeying around here. I'm going to go ahead and I think I'll go ahead and just call the Brant here. And this is a very small mass rock, and we'll just go ahead and get this guy broke up. And I think that was just an original purple. I think that one was just kind of nothing in that one. Okay. So one of these rocks is going to have quite a bit in it. Here's 773 with 50. So, you know, here's a perfect example of when, you know, the like, look how much inert's in this rock right here. When this thing breaks funny, it's a really good example of when the I'm gonna pivot down so I get a little more contrast. the filter, the FLTR XL, is going to come in handy here. Absolutely going to be a really handy thing to have.
Warning, power critical. Warning, power critical.
Just keeping an eye on it. You know, if you get into the overcharge just a touch, just either kill the laser or back it back off. You just want to feather it just right. With the Brant, you know, I've got a little bit more time. 3, 2, 1. It's going to go out, but I'm pretty close. It could jump funny here, so you have to watch towards the tail end of the second Brant break. But it looks like it's holding pretty stable. I'm going to just kind of goose it a touch so it stays in there, and boom, we got it. So good. This didn't have anything in it. There's one that's under here that's going to have a little bit of something in it, more than likely. So this is a 400 mass, 44%. So we'll break this guy up. And there's one more, too, that's underneath there. So a lot of this is compacted. We're going to probably, you know, depending on how this broke, you know, we're probably going to struggle to get much more than 20 on board. But you know what? Everything, you know, we'll do what we can, and we'll work it so it works. We'll do the best we can here with it. A lot of times, that's one of the advantages. You know, obviously there's pluses and minuses to all this stuff. One of the things when you mine an air and halo, you don't have it where they're kind of impacted into the geography a little bit. So, you know, that definitely can be a thing. Daniel saying, hey, you try any Jump Town this weekend? During my attempts, didn't seem worth it, as I believe they changed the respawn. I had heard they changed the respawn. I did try. Thank you for asking, Daniel. I did try with an org mate. It was just the two of us. And we actually kind of decided to go in guns blazing this time, which is very unlike me. But I thought that would be fun, just kind of, you know, hey, let's just kind of go in guns blazing and see what we get. And we cleared the air. We were in a Connie Taurus. There was I think it was a Sentinel. We cleared the Sentinel, and there was an Aurora. We cleared the Aurora. You know, we got down, and they had a couple guys in the facility, and I died in the airlock, but you know, before the guy, you know, the org mate I was with could kind of get me back up, but he managed to kill him and stay. I got myself a very fast trip to Klesher, but you know, it was all in good fun, and I enjoyed it. But I had heard they changed the spawn. It is silly, you know, a little. You know, I'm not going to get, you don't want to, you know, I always try to keep glasses half full, and you know, you'll probably hear that. Like, but I did hear that they did change that, and it's too bad. You know, I hope that they didn't change it because they thought it was too much, you know, it was too big of an imbalance for money. I don't know that I agree with that, but, you know, you've got to have some incentive. But I haven't really read the details, so it's hard for me to comment one way or the other on it as far as the change that they made. I do know that there was a couple of org mates, I think at first blush, were a little not thrilled with it, but you know, you never know exactly, and I haven't dug in and looked. Sylvain says, I switched to Brants instead of the Vaux after seeing you use them. Love the Brant so far. I have used the heck out of the Brants. You know, I think that they're a very good, you know, people have come to me and said that they like the VAUAXs, for sure, and I can understand that. I'll go ahead and grab this guy. I get the filter in. I can definitely understand that, but I just abuse the Brants. It's an easy consumable. They're not expensive. You know, you only normally will go through maybe at the most a full Brant per Quantanium. So if you do your pre-flight and post-flight stuff, you shouldn't be caught out there without one. The one thing about consumables that can be a little troublesome is that, you know, just like I didn't remember that I only had one charge left, so you know, that's why I keep a couple on board. But other than that, I abuse the heck out of the Brants, and they just make it easy to mine. So there's another 98%er. None of this is going to break cleanly, and that's okay. We're just going to work our way through this and see what we get. There's a hundo. Like those hundos. Daniel says, yeah, it's such a risk to get control of the facility. Taking 3 times as long to get the same amount of drugs is not worth it to me. Too bad. I hope they change it back. I can understand what you're saying there. You know, and I agree. Like, I did like the fact that you could kind of get in there, with that 30-second respawn, you might just get yourself 10 or 12 boxes and get out of Dodge. You know what I mean? I definitely understand what you mean by that. So there's a 64%. That's a light. That's a touch light. I'd like to see if I can get other things on board before that. That's a nothing. There's a 49%. So I know that there's some up here, but hoping to find a little bit higher concentrations in it before then. Some of these better have quite a bit in it, or this is going to be... Now there's an 81. We'll take that. When we broke this rock, we knew it had a slightly over... The best I was going to do is slightly over 20. But it's looking like it might be a... Yeah, there's... I'll just go ahead and grab this. I think we're coming down to it. Oh, no, there's... Yeah, let's take a look at this edge case here. 100% quartz. And this is going to have nothing in it, I don't think. Oh. Oh, wow, there's 50... I didn't know that I still had a yellow down here. That's no problem. We'll make short work of this yellow. And you have enough time. I mean, if you happen to overlook, like I did here, you know, as an old miner, you know, I just overlooked the yellow. Don't panic. You still have time. It's no problem. Just go ahead and break the yellow. You know, we're still over, you know, 12 minutes. You know, there is a lot of time. Now, you can't sit here forever, you know, but there is time. And, you know, and of course, you know, this isn't the hugest amount, but, you know, there's some of it here I've got to have, so. All right, there's a break. So let's find out where half this went here. Yeah, this one's breaking up yucky. Oh.
Extraction mode on.
There we go.
On. Extraction mode on.
Yeah, there's a hundo. A couple, you know, hopefully one other one of these has got some, you know, decent percentages in it. Yeah, there's a 50. Oh, my stars in heaven. We're working hard here for some SEU. What about this guy? Yeah, best case scenario with this was going to be slightly over 20, and we're working hard for it. There's 50%. We'll grab it. Now this one better not have any in it, darn it. Yeah, I didn't think it did. Now here's one. I think it was this guy that had a little in it. Yeah, it's going up. We'll go ahead and just grab that one. I think it was this one that had some in it. Nope, that one doesn't. And that one doesn't. That one doesn't. What about this edge right here? That one does. That one does. Alright, so we're north of 15 SCU. That's good. 16.67. That's nothing. We're still in, I mean, there's half that is Quantanium. We're still trying to push towards 20. Yeah, that's nothing. Just double checking all this stuff. Hopefully we can get... Yeah, that was nothing there. We're fighting to get 20 on board here. What is this guy? Nothing moving there. Nothing there. about this guy? Hey, there's an 87%er. Alright, what was this guy? Keeping an eye on the time. We're still 11:30. Let me check this guy. There's one here that you barely can see. Oh, that was 100% quartz. That is nothing. This guy was nothing. Yep, I think that's us. 19.67, which isn't terrible, all things considered. Boy, I thought there would have been a little more. One more rock would have something in it here, but it doesn't look like that's the case. I'll just double check one last time. We'll do it this way. Okay, that's not. Usually I make a pretty good mental note here. Yep, that's a quartz piece. Just want to make sure we get every bit of it here. We're about 10 minutes. We're going to get going here in just a sec. I think we're going to call it good there. Some of these aren't rescanning. Definitely not that. Definitely not that. I'm just kind of watching to see if it changes. Nope, I think we're up. I think that's all we ended up with was 19.67, which is nothing, you know, not a terrible amount, but certainly, you know, obviously the 6,000 pounder at 45% absolutely would have been a uni. I wasn't kitted for that. I didn't have a surge. So, you know, what we're going to take this 19%, we're going to head back and lick our wounds and head in, and then we'll head out to the Iron Halo after that and see if we can, you know, find something there. So. And that's mining, really. I mean, there are times when you're going to fly out, you're going to find unis, and you're going to, you know, but you can't, you know, and one of the things that Sylvain said earlier, you know, it's like, hey, I flew over Lyria for 40 minutes and I didn't find anything. I'm not going to turn my nose up at 19 SCU of Quantanium and then go fly around for a half hour. You can't really do that. If it's north of 15 SCU, it's still quite a bit of money. It's nothing to sneeze at, and, you know, it all adds up. You know, so that's a prospector run. It didn't take a tremendous amount of time, and you've got, you know, you've made, and we can look at it together. But you know, you've made yourself a little bit of money. So not every time you fly out there is it a uni, and that's okay. Now, you know, anybody watches the stream, we call whenever you get a full load of Quantanium in a prospector a unicorn. You know, we get lots of those in the prospector, and even have had the blessing to get one or two of those in the mole. The other day in the mole, we actually had a 93 SCU run, pretty good one. You know, it just broke a little funny, and we couldn't quite figure out. You know, we couldn't figure out the last 3 SCU, so we had to kind of, you know, grab some trash that was on board. So Mr. Blue was saying a few Quantanium is better than no Quantanium. 100% agree with that. You know, there are lots of times as a miner where if I sit there and fly around just looking for unicorns, just looking for every single, you know, like I'm going to turn my nose up at 20 SCU so I can go look for 32. You'll find that that's not an efficient use of your time. I mean, that's been my experience. I'm not going to speak for everybody, but, you know, certainly that's been my experience. And I also get a little, you know, I'm a little superstitious. You know, if you turn your nose up at at an easy 100 in 25, 130K, there are many times where I think you're going to end up flying around for 35 minutes and end up with that same amount. At the end, just settle, you know. So not a bad idea just to grab it, be done with it, and bring it on in and throw it in the hopper and head back out again. So we're gonna go ahead and do that here. We're gonna bring this first load in. We went to Lyria, had very good success, found something right off the bat. But somebody did ask if I would go to the Iron Halo, so I thought I would do Lyria first, the Iron Halo second, and so we'll see how that goes. I mean, there are times when, just like any other mining thing, you get to the Iron Halo and you fly around for a little while, you know. Daniel Masson saying if you caught the big one every time, they would call it catching, not fishing. Yeah, that's exactly a Razor or Four who joins me on my stream a lot. That's one of his favorite sayings, and I love that saying. Couldn't agree with that anymore. Love it. You know what I mean? Love that saying. They would absolutely call it catching if every time you went. They'd never call it fishing if every time you went out there you got something. They just call it catching. So, you know, like I said, we're not going to sneeze at what we just pulled down here for sure. So first alarm just went off, and that shouldn't surprise anybody. Lots of times we land before first alarm went off, but in this particular case, we were absolutely a little behind the 8 ball because we had to spend a little time kind of just going over, double checking to make sure there wasn't a couple more SCU out there that we could have pulled on board. So KSS is asking me, what's my minimum percentage to amount a single rock? I have a 15 SCU minimum. I want to at least be bringing on board 15 SCU. So, you know, that's, you know, obviously those percentages work out differently. But, you know, if you have like that's 750 mass of, you know, it's not doable for sure. So, you know, that's kind of my minimum. I usually use QuantCalc and just kind of, as long as it's got 15 SCU on it, I'll put the lasers on it. Of course, you're always looking to do better. But, you know, KSS is saying, I tend to stop guaranteed whenever the rock is more than 17%, no matter what the mass is. I can respect that. I think that's a fine line, KSS. I do. I think there's nothing wrong. All of us have to make our own decisions about what we think is, you know, is the minimum that we're willing to mine. I have a 15 SCU minimum, but I could certainly understand, even if it's a 3,000, you know, a 3,000 mass at 17%, 1734, you know, another 1044, and then another 7, so, you know, 51 or whatever. That's a little over 10 SCU. So a 3,000 pounder, you know what I mean, at 17% is still going to net you 10 SCU or 88,000. I mean, there's nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong with that, you know. So I can absolutely understand why somebody would go for that, for sure. Craig Blair, how you doing today? He said I had great luck yesterday and pulled 3 full hulls of Quant. So are you, Craig, are you saying you had three unis? That's awesome. So Mr. Blue says mass 5,000, first 30 minutes, 35%, next 30 minutes, whatever. I can totally understand that. That actually makes me laugh. I can totally understand that position. There comes a point where you're just like, I'm just, whatever, this Bexolite will work. You know, it's just, I've had those days mining before too. I get that. That's great. Sylvain Martin is saying, all I was finding on Leary was clusters. 2 and 5 rocks, but they were 2%. Tried cell 2, then jumped to cell 5 and found 10 SU worth. He called it quits on Leary. I can appreciate that. And it's so funny, you know, like how you can really just kind of get in dry stretches for sure. And I've been there a million times. You know, I agree with that. And so, hey, I will say, everybody, shameless plug section here. You know, I don't traditionally ask a lot, but if you like what you're seeing, don't forget to like. You know, at least hit the like button. That does help a little bit. It brings more people. It brings more miners to the channel, and that's kind of what I do, and what I'm probably gonna do for a long time is just mining stuff. It's not the most high octane. I enjoy mining. I enjoy sharing mining stories. I enjoy when people talk mining. So, you know, hey, if that's something that you do, you know, give her a like. I try and use my elevator time to say things like that, and then off we go again. So anyways, we're going to throw this guy in the hopper here, and then we are going to head out to the Iron Halo. I'll rekit, and we'll head back out there. And so this is the one time where the FLTRXL really did help. You know, is when you have a 21, 22 SCU rock break, and I think you ended up with 19 or whatever. I mean, if we just take a look at it here together, you're still looking at, I mean, unrefined's 87, so refined, that's, you know, twice as much. Now, obviously, there's a cost, but I mean, you're looking at 160,000. I mean, is that not worth my time to stop and mine? Of course, it's not a uni, but it's nothing to sneeze at necessarily. You know what I mean? So we'll go ahead and set up the work order. I'll just do the Dynex this time. You know, not in a terrible hurry. Yeah, it's a 4,000 cost. So I mean, you know, it's still north of 150,000. So nothing to sneeze at there. Craig says he's doing great. He's catching lunch break. You know, oh, liking a sub inbound. I really appreciate that. And at first, oh, wow, hey, I seen the likes jump way up. Thank you all. I appreciate it. It does mean a lot to me that that, you know, like mining. And a friend of mine said to me, you know, if you're gonna do something, if you're ever gonna stream anything, just do something you enjoy. One of the things I will tell you guys, I love mining in Star Citizen. It's a simple thing. There's some complexity to it. There's a little bit of luck. But, you know, I absolutely love doing it, and I absolutely love talking about it. So, yeah, that's for sure. And lots of times, 4 joins me, and we have a good old time. So, KSS, anyone who's noticed since the last patch, it seems like large clusters have more 2% rocks and fewer large percentage rocks in Lyria. No, you're not in Fantasyland, KSS. As a matter of fact, lots of people who come to my stream, org members who mine on the regular, everyone is saying since 3.16.1 that it does seem that the percentages are down a touch. I don't want to sound an alarm. I still made 2.5 million last week, not working that hard. So I still made quite a bit of money, but my time investment was a little more. And what the one thing I've been saying is they've had Jump Town and now Ninetales and then again Jump Town, you know, type of thing. So I don't know if it's just because there's been events, but it does not, you know, it's not it's not lost on me what you're saying, and I think other people said it. Mr. Blue's asking an excellent question. Why not refine everything? It's just a few minutes and a few bucks more. Actually, I do a lot of the Dynex solvenation, Mr. Blue. So let's say I had just 20 SE of your Quantanium, and that might take, like, I don't know, let's say 13 hours or something. If I mine another 4 SEU of quartz or whatever, it is like an extra 3 or 4 hours. So it is... I have, and maybe I'm wrong and I haven't looked at it in a while, but I do tend to find, I think it does slow down the refining job to a point where it's like, I'll just do the Quantanium. But it's an excellent question, and I wouldn't judge anybody who, you know, certainly does every single thing that they, you know, every part of the job, you know, as far as the refining job. I can understand why people would do that for sure. So, all right, so pre-flight here, I was down a brand. I'm going to go ahead and save that guy. And we are going to go ahead and pull the prospector, and we are going to head to the Air and Halo. And we're in Arc L1, so I'll kind of give you guys, you know, give you guys a little information about where to drop out here. And most of you may know this. There's actually an interesting thing, and I don't know if this is always on the Halo, but there is an interesting thing where you can drop out at 8.2, then you can drop out at 7.7, and in between those things, there's actually a spot where there's not rocks. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So we're going to head from the Air and Halo to HURL5. We're going to drop out at 7.7. Like I said, we could drop out at 8.2 and get on rocks, and then go like a couple of hundred more and not hit rocks at all. And then we could actually hit them again. So there's this kind of like weird little gap in there that I didn't understand was there at one time. So it's kind of interesting. Daniel Masson says, it can be hit or miss, it seems. I got 2 unicorns right after Xeno ended, so maybe event related. Hard to say with this game. I agree. You know, I have been mining in Star Citizen now for a little over a year. And I will say, like, I've tried to connect the dots or be like, on Thursday nights, you know, or whatever. I've never quite been able to. And I don't necessarily, I'm not saying that there's not a quanta or some kind of a meta to it. But I've never been able to kind of connect any dots, and I always hate to sound so, you know, so conspiratorial or whatever. So, you know, but I will say I have noticed a downtick myself in just the amount of an uptick in the amount of time it's taken to find things since 3.16.1. I'm not saying that's a thing, but it has seemed to be a trend, and so you know, I'm just trying to be as open and honest as possible about that trend for sure. Alrighty, so here we find ourselves climbing back into the prospector, doing, you know, kind of getting ready here. I'm going to head to HURL5. Up we go. pull that gear back and get her to race out around the station here. We're going to line up, and we're going to drop out at about 7.7, 7.8, like that area was where we're going to drop out, and we're going to begin looking in the air and halo for some rocks. Now, anybody who's mines in Star Citizen and anybody who's familiar with this mining stream knows, you know, the air and halo is the air and halo, right? You're going to land there and you're going to fly around for an hour and not find rocks, or you're going to find rocks. It is what it is, you know. It's one of those things. So if anybody has anything that they want to chat about, theorycraft about, please feel free to fill in the gaps. It keeps me interested. It keeps the people interested, and of course, mining stories, any kind of you know, theory crafting about mining at all is welcome on this channel. Generally, how I like to do it is I will try and not mangle your name and kind of say what you're saying, and you know, people, you know, the community can have a chat about it. So love doing that. It's one of the coolest things about this community is that people who like to mine, and you know, it's one of those things. So all right, so off we go to HURL 5, and we are going to drop out at about 7.7 here. Cool. All right, just crossing 10. It says about 7.8 is what I'm going to drop out here. And hopefully that gets me close to, real close into where we want to get. 7.8. Ah, there we are. And that looks great. The first thing I always do is I always clear my route, and I always just set my route back to ArcL1. And so I generally then just kind of pivot around. You know, I don't know what, we always get the second engaging of the quantum drive, but turn that guy off. You can see this is a nice area. It's pretty thick with rocks, and we just begin the process. Now I use ArcL1 as kind of my 12 o'clock. You know, so you kind of head in the same direction as much as you can. Coulter Hensel, hi Coulter, how you doing today? He's saying I have the Orion a little. Oh, I know what you mean. The Orion is going to be an absolute blast. I can't wait for the Orion. I really am hoping that there's going to be these advanced scanning mechanics where it will scan like 300 rocks, and then it will be like, hey, you know, this is there's a lot of aluminum in this particular field, or there's a lot of Bexlite in this field, and that you need to collect massive amounts of resources to feed your Pioneer, so that, you know, the Pioneer can do base building or that type of thing. That would be awesome, Coulter. Darkside 66, hey, you doing, Darkside? Haven't seen you in a bit. But happy to see you back on board. Fully agree, sir. Seems as if Quantanium is a touch scarce lately. That's been, a lot of people have been echoing that, and I don't, you know, want to sound like an echo chamber, but that's what a lot of people have been saying in the stream, and it's just been one of those things. So now I just pulled out of the, dropped out of the air and halo, and so what do we have here? We have a laranite field. So that's a little bit of laranite. I wonder if is this guy with this group? I think it is, kind of, but no big deal. This is a 4931 mass, and this is, yep, definitely some laranite at 14%. So nothing, you know, nothing too crazy there, but we'll just keep on moving. Coulter, yes, it will be awesome. It's going to be great. I mean, I am really looking forward to the Orion, and you know, and just a ship that can refine, and being able to drop the boxes, and you know, have your you know, your logistics teams kind of coming in, grabbing the boxes, and maybe stockpiling. You know, it's like you stockpile stuff, and then when people can pay, you know, pay for, like, maybe they'll have like their own, like, I'm short 317 SCU of aluminum. I'm just willing to give people 50 a unit for it, just because I'm loaded, you know, I'm a loaded, you know, baron or whatever. It's like, oh, I happen to be sitting on a stockpile of that. We'll bring it right over. You know, that's going to be so much fun. Obviously, all of the layers to that when it comes to, say, you know, the security apparatus that you may need for those things, and all that's going to be so much fun. Oh, my stars in heaven. All right, well, we're going to take a look here. This is going to be a signature scan, and then we'll see if this guy gets a little Doesn't look like I'm getting the rest of the scan. And you do see that from time to time where the rocks are kind of dead. Well, oh, no, hey, there it goes. We'll just go ahead and finish that out. Aluminum, titanium, bexylite, but I noticed as I was approaching here that there's a 3-pack over this way. Now, one of the things about the 3-packs, I've never seen, and also I do have an org mate who mentioned it to me, and ever since he mentioned it to me, I've never seen a 3-pack contain Quantanium at this part of the halo. So, you know, I'm still looking for that to happen one time. But we've never seen 3 rocks ever have Quantanium in them. So that's gold, diamond, and corundum, which is, you know, it's just one of those little things you do pick up, whether or not it's, you know, it's just you haven't been lucky or whatever. It's just something that we've noticed in the meta, just a touch. So, like I said, keeping Arc L1 as my 12 o'clock position, just kind of cruising along here. And we'll just kind of keep scanning, and if things are kind of in a cone out in front of us, we'll definitely kind of pivot towards those things. The reason that I do that is so I don't actually circle back to the same rocks as I've already scanned, which is pretty easy to do. So Artikith, and if I'm, you know, hopefully I'm not mangling your name, sir. First time dropping into your stream, it's cool. Just a question: how do you change the colors? I get that question a lot, Arda. And in this particular case, it's the helmet of the Aerial Greycat Aerial Armor Hazard set. So it's a yellow set of Aerial Greycat armor that gives me this particular colors for my rock icons and that type of thing. And that's a question I get asked a ton, and it's a great question. And I do like the yellow. I mean, I really like how it stands out, especially with the blue hues on Lyria. It's a nice big bold color right out there, and you know, you definitely can that's a little off to the side, but we'll go that way and take a peek. It definitely can help, you know, having those colors like that. So, good question. All right. I don't normally nose back a little bit, but we'll just, you know, I don't know. Had a feeling. That's funny. That is gold, borace, and corundum. So, nice little cluster. Like I said, I had a feeling. I don't know why, but you know, that's the way it goes. So we'll keep on monkeying around in this direction and see how we do. Sylvain saying, Friday I had rock activists blow up my mole with 70 SCU of Quant at Arc L1. Oh no. You know, I've been definitely held hostage a couple of times. You know, and what's funny is you know, I used to be this guy who was like, I'm never paying a pirate. You know, this is not happening. I'll just ram them or ramming speed or whatever. But you know, now that I've watched Mongrel Squad and those guys a little bit, I do respect kind of the time and energy it takes. So you know, like, I definitely, you know, if I get pirated, I've decided it's my fault. You know, I probably should have brought a security team. I should have made more of an effort to not get pirated. And so it can happen. I mean, being ambushed outside a refinery is being ambushed outside a refinery. I mean, it's a funnel, right? You got to go there. But I will say, indiscriminate killing where they just, you know, I'm just going to blow you up just to grief or whatever. It's here nor there. I mean, you know, that part of the gameplay, like I said, I've decided I'd rather negotiate with people if they're being reasonable, like, hey, send me 50K and I'll let you go. I can respect that. But indiscriminate killing is always a little tough in a situation like that. And there will be mechanics, I think, that will help deal with that at some point, or we'll just have to, you know, to hire security forces and, you know, and just be like, say hello to my little friends here. Doug Blair saying, the rest of my time online would have been spent hunting them off server. Yeah, I understand what you mean. You know, if I didn't think I would lose that combat, I might actually man up and go after him. Arctic says, all right, my name. Oh, all right with my name. Yep, you're right. It helps a lot. I'm colorblind. Oh, you know what? I understand where you're coming from. Thank you for sharing that. I could understand definitely why being colorblind would be a significant disadvantage, you know, in a situation where things were kind of a hue that that wasn't necessarily easy to deal with. So yeah, these nice bright colors here. This is another laranite field. We'll keep on moving, but I'll tell you, we've gotten lucky. We have found 3 clusters already. Just haven't. Sylvain says, I offered them money, they were not interested. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know, it's kind of the griefing side of it. I don't know that, you know, and the one thing I will say is I'm not for anybody being banned for stuff, and I am for it being Wild West. But I will say that I do think that, you know, if you offered them money and you did everything that you could there, I mean, you know, that's the type of thing where, you know, I can appreciate where you're coming from. It's you know, it's not exactly cool. For sure. And unfortunately, they're giving regular, you know, the people who do pirate and take it seriously a bad name, right? Because people then get those two things mixed, you know. There are the people who pirate, and, you know, I mean, they're taking your stuff. It's not, you know, they're taking all your time and your energy. But I mean, you know, the one thing I will say is, you know, pirates are smart. I mean, now that's a 10% Quantanium single. That's not going to be big enough. You know, they would a lot of times just pirate, and then they want to eat tomorrow, you know, so they would just let them go and pirate them again, maybe, or tax them now and then. And I would understand that gameplay a heck of a lot more than just indiscriminate killing. You know, indiscriminate killing will eventually lead to me just checking the server to see if you're on it, you know. And then if you are, then, you know, not doing the thing I normally do. All right, so we're out here cruising the air in Halo, looking at rocks on this beautiful President's Day. I was saying fairly early in the stream, it's so nice not having to work on a Monday, and, you know, this is the dream, really. I mean, being able to just kind of mine around in StarCraft, or in StarCraft, wow, in Star Citizen, have a little fun, and, you know, that might have been a Freudian slip. I mean, I did like StarCraft. So. Yeah, I don't know. That rock disappeared on me. You know, Arctic is saying there should be more consequences. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there needs to be something that would stop indiscriminate killing, that type of thing. Especially, I don't know, maybe the more offenses of that you rack up. Something, you know. Sylvain saying, for colorblind, I have it too. My monitor has different game settings on my AOC FPS. Gives me more contrast. That's actually, you know, I would imagine you're right. There probably are crazy tools to help deal with that. You know, it's funny, you know, a guy I knew a long time ago, he's a really, you know, does quite a bit of artwork, and I won't mention his name or whatever, you know, but he does these huge murals and stuff. And the other day I was talking to a friend, and I said, hey, you know, he's doing really well, and you see these murals that he's doing, and then somebody mentioned to me, he's like, I used to be in art class with him, and he'd ask me, what color crayon is this? And it blew my mind, you know, because he always uses these weird pastel-y colors and stuff, and if he's colorblind, that's probably contributed a lot to his artistic style, that he doesn't exactly know what the colors look like, you know, because his colors are always so wild. So yeah, being colorblind is this, you know, I can imagine is an interesting thing, you know. You know, not being colorblind, it's difficult for me to understand, but I can tell you that I can really appreciate the idea of contrast for sure. So, all right, well, we're still flying around here looking for something to mine. I do like how there's kind of bigger rocks and smaller rocks mixed together here in this part of the Halo. Of course, the air in Halo doesn't have like the newer style of asteroids like the Lagrange points does, but that's okay. You know, I always giggle at myself when I'm out mining and I say I dig it. You know, Jack Axton, one of the things, he was always like, keep on trucking. I've always had to bite my tongue. I always want to be like, keep on digging. I'm not, you know, like, Jack's one of my favorite Star Citizen streamers, so I always just kind of, you know, I definitely watch his stream and kind of really appreciate how personable of a dude he is, and mention him from time to time in my stream. He's definitely a cool cat. So, Yeah, so we went to Lyria, and we, right off the bat, I just like to mention as people kind of come and go, we right off the bat found a cluster, found a 6,048%er that I couldn't mine, and a constellation prize that ended up being around 19 SEU that I could mine. We got that guy back to the hopper, and then we're out here in the air in Halo looking for something to mine, and this is always, that's a signature scan. This can always be a little bit harrowing, you know, as you kind of look around and try not to find that many dead rocks. We found a few clusters, but we haven't found the one yet. That's a 2% Quantanium, so that's not going to work for us. Second Quantanium rock, we've seen a 10%er and a 2%er out here so far today. Smee McGee is asking, how's belt mining? Well, we just got out here maybe 10, 12, 15 minutes ago at the most. We haven't found anything quite yet, but we are looking around. So, hopefully we'll find something relatively soon. Now look how these guys, if I'm holding my scan over them, these are dead rocks, right? I mean, I've got a scan going on both of them. Nothing, I'm not even getting a signature scan, so we'll just keep on ahead. He says, I found one of the big ones earlier today. I was so sad. Yeah, and it's funny. The guy I do a lot of mining with, who's on the stream quite a bit. It's I refer to him as 4 or Razor. He loves keeping the surge. He will keep this. He does not like it when he runs into that one that crosses that 6,000 barrier and he can't get it. So he'll keep surges on board for sure and do the double surge technique. If I am a little more vanilla, I usually run with an FLT LXR and a couple of brands and just kind of deal with the size thing. Now, the one thing about it, like I said, there's give and takes in all things. So, even though there are dead rocks in space, if you happen, the biggest mass you're ever going to find in space for whatever reason is that you can mine is 5122. It's just a meta. And then the other side of it is you're not going to lose anything. It's not going to be impacted. Oh, a 47% or at 8100. Yeah, that's a 70 SEU rock. That's a nice one, Smee. Yeah, I've seen those before. Hey, Zeron, welcome to the stream. How are you today? Yeah, that's a good. We actually inside our org right now have a screenshot contest for the biggest rock, highest percentage. I think it's somewhere around that. It's like an 8200. That's like a 48% or something like that. It was a big one. Yeah, Smee, you're right. When they get up around 8,000 mass, even with a double surge and a stampede, it can be very difficult to keep it inside. Even if you just surge even slightly into the overcharge, and then as soon as it decays and falls into the green, you just try and bang the stampede to have it run through. There's still no guarantee that that's going to work, and in many cases it's not, and you're just going to have spent your time kind of banging your head against something you can't necessarily get, which is easy pickings for for a mole or whatever. So Articif says your character should have a humanity value like DayZ mod. There should be some stuff not available if below a certain value. You know what? That's an interesting thought. Yeah, where you just become so not liked or whatever that there's some places you just don't get to go or whatever. Interesting thought. So let's see here. We've got a little bit of another cluster here. Diamond, Baxilite. This is a Baxilite field, so, not a bad thing. I probably could look there and see if there's a Baxilite field, see if there's some Baxilite worth mining, but we're out here to get Quantanium today, and that's the thing I like to teach as much as I can, or just share with people, and I think that's the high-valued stuff, and everybody can figure out how to mine Baxilite. It's not gonna get you. So we'll just keep on moving. Now, by myself, after a while, I'll take Baxilite. It's not that. Oh, that's a signature scan. It's not that valued that low where I won't mine it for sure. Zeron says, I heard that Star Citizen Dev scaled back its roadmap. That's true. There has been some changes to the roadmap, and I think it, like all things, it remains to be seen whether or not it's a good or a bad thing doing that. So I know that it's interesting. I think there was a lot of people were pretty hyperbolic at first when that first happened, but other people have kind of thought about it a lot, and it's like maybe going to make more sense if you just tell us what's coming right away and stop the marketing with that scat. that scavenging or whatever, salvaging is coming, and just let us know let us know in a quarter before it gets here. We'll see. I want to see how it shakes out the rest of the year. I never really expected Pyro this year myself, and I'm not trying to be. That's not from a dark position. That's just knowing that they've got some other big fish to fry as far as mechanics, And so sometimes you don't realize there's a problem until there's a 2% Quantanium. Until you kind of get far enough along to realize you're going to hit a problem. So Smee says, where did I make my jump out of the belt from? Good question, and I will answer that. So I left ArcL 1, I went to HURL 5, and I jumped out at 7.8. My goal is to hit as close to 7.7 as I can, and then just kind of go from there. So that answers that. Scalba, how you doing today? ArcL 1 towards HURL 5, that's exactly right. That's exactly where I went. I haven't belt jumped since 3.14 and can't remember what the distances are. So that should help. If you jump from ArcL 1 and you go to HURL 5 and you fall out about 7.7, this is where I have been doing. It keeps me close to ArcL 1 because I mostly mine in Lyria, but this is how to get to the belt from there. So, all right. Yeah, I don't want to pivot 180. What's this guy at up here? Nope. We'll keep on heading and seeing if we can keep it in a cone in front of us. There we go. Like I said, I definitely kind of keep ArcL 1 kind of in my 12 o'clock position as I go along here. Just because I definitely do not want to end up kind of pivoting back to rocks that I have already scanned, and I'll absolutely do it if I don't have some kind of a universe. Look at this. I'm getting that close to this guy and no rocks. Okay. Okay, there's. Smee says, I think I gave a griefer a good scare the other day. I meant he killed me, but he had no shields. Oh yeah, sucker punches. Yeah, I get it for sure. Oh, Zeron says if I get in this game, I'm going to establish a military junta. Yeah, that's actually funny. It is it would be interesting to see if somebody can establish some kind of control over the madness, like an Eve style type. I don't know, honestly. I'm too lazy to establish a military junta. It would interrupt my mining. Joel found a cluster with 36% rocks, didn't have a box mission, so I could leave it and come back. Good point that you're making there, Joel. One of the things I would have really liked to have seen, quite honestly, here's the next rock. I've got a box, but I don't have rocks. Is with the mining gadgets. Literally one of the most important mining gadgets they could come up with is some way to leave a marker where you could prospect for yourself and then go mine it. I mean, I would love that. I think that would be fantastic if that was a thing, where there was some kind of a gadget where you could attach to a rock, even if at that moment when you attached to the rock and tuned it, it just wrote down the values in the system and then procedurally generated the thing. So you could go back. I think that would be fantastic. I would also give somebody who's interested in exploration gameplay maybe a loop to be able to sell a GUID, location to a player. But just a random thought I have. It's who knows what the back end for something like that is and whether or not it's possible. Smee says he's fallen in love with distortions. If I'm on the giving end of the distortions, I love them. The receiving end can be a little rough at ammo. A personal beacon, Scalba saying, I couldn't agree more, Scalba. Something like that. Some kind of a way. I mean, I have a second account that my son uses, and I've actually thought about having both a Novikov and a Pembroke suit on board, and loading him up with me and be like, okay, well, we're gonna go here. Put on the Novikov suit. You're gonna stand. This character's gonna stand here for me while I go get my other ship. So, a $45 second account may not be a bad idea to be your personal marker for something like that. Because if a player is there, it definitely will not despawn. Oh, there's 3. Remember what I mentioned about 3 rocks earlier today, is that we've never seen it where, this is going to be a signature scan. We've never seen it where 3 rocks have ever had Quantanium in them at this part of the field. It's just a meta that I've witnessed. I'm still waiting to get proven wrong on that, but we'll go ahead and we're going to scan them anyways, right? We're getting a slow scan now. Smee says, LOL, you're not wrong. Yeah, no, box missions work, but they do time out. I have found myself, Joel, and maybe you've had a different experience. I have left boxes. I have left Gray Cat buggies. I have left, things before, and I've never. Every time I come back, the rock clusters are no longer there. Now I'll admit that I only have been doing that the last couple months testing it, but my experience, and maybe the meta's changed. Maybe once upon a time they did stay and now they don't. I don't know, but I haven't been able to ever return. There are times when Buddy left a prospector. I picked him up and we went to mine someplace else. There's a 3% Quantanium. Like we were both out prospecting. I found a nice cluster. I flew back and grabbed the mole. Came back to where he was already on a cluster and had found one while I went to get the mole. I picked him up. We left his prospector on a Quantanium field, his ship pointing at a 49%er. We weren't going to try and, we were just going to fly, go back to the refinery. By the time we came back, there were no rocks around that prospector, and it was there the whole time. So it just was one of those things. I don't know, like my experience has been different than that, but that's just me being, kind of speaking to what's happened with me in that situation. So Smee says, I can't wait for the Orion to come out and then take the Orion to a belt and never leave. Yes, that's going to be, the Orion's going to be awesome. Sylvan Martin says, I'm using the free fly to create a second account and to be the pilot for my WoY mine. I like that idea, and I can do a 180 and turn around to my second, gaming machine and make that, I know what you mean. So make that person is just like, yeah, that is a good idea, makes it a little easier. All right, there's a 2-pack here. We're going to take a look at these guys. Joel says it worked for me. I've gotten 2 runs. Wow, that's crazy cool. I mean, I have not, Joel says it's definitely worked for him when it comes to the leaving a box or whatever and going back. So maybe it has to do with the way the server's recycling or something along those lines. I just have never I've tried to shoot videos of doing that. I just have never had any luck with it. So Articus says, do you also have a bug in the mining mod where it doesn't scan around? Oh, these are twins and they're both Quantanium, and I got one to scan here. That's an 8%er. See if I can get the other one to scan here. Yep, this other one's scanning. So I have an 8%er and a 3.49. Ah, shoot. So a couple of Quantanium rocks there. Sometimes you find those twins, and one of them is a good percentage. Arctic, to speak to what you're saying, there are dead rocks in space. I've only had 1 or 2 rocks I've ever had to drive away from while I'm surface mining that won't eventually pop and give you the scan results. But there are absolutely in the air in Halo, or if you're doing any kind of space mining, rocks that will not scan. It doesn't matter. You could sit there for an hour, kiss them, with your ship, do all the little things, shoot them, all the little things that make them kind of they'll never scan. There are some that are in space that are just that way. It is what it is.
75%.
So we're going in here a little closer to see if we can get a scan on this guy. It's a single, obviously, 4,600 mass, and it is a diamond corundum borace, 6.66 borace too. The number of the borace. What classification of ship you have? So this is the prospector. It's just your basic mining ship. The prospector is just the vanilla single-seater mining ship for solo mining. One of the things about the prospector is my favorite ship in the game. It's got a great bubble canopy. And also it prints money, so it kind of allows me to do things. Like, just to give you an idea, I bought an M2 last week for 5 point whatever, and I'm back up to 6.8. So even with the slowdown, I make pretty good money in the prospector. All right, there's another set of twins there. Let's see if we can get these guys to scan out. Yeah, and here's what you see from time to time, right? I'm trying to get a scan to go on them, and it's definitely not working. Oh, Zeron's asking if I like Star Trek. Of course, yeah, I love Star Trek. I'm an older guy, so Next Generation was great. I like the original movies. The Star Trek universe is cool. I played Star Trek Online. Yeah, I like Star Trek stuff. I like space stuff for sure. And there was a drought. There was like this long drought that there wasn't space games before, like the current batch of them, like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen and those games come along. Now that's been a while, of course, but but there was a long drought where there weren't space games, so I welcome them. No Man's Sky, those types of games are great. Joel says Prospector is life when it comes to money, and that's something I completely agree with. Now this is a signature scan that I'm gonna get here now, and let's see if I can get it to do the rest of the scan. I'm at 2,000 away. It should do it, but nope, that looks like a dead rock for sure. So you just got to keep your foot on the gas here. I mean, as long as you can. I mean, we already crossed this. Oh yeah, there's lots of scans going to happen up here. Interesting. Hey, there's a cluster. Ooh, and a decent sized cluster as well. Smeeby gets us now. I'm curious as to how old you're. I'm 49. I'm not afraid to tell people how old I am. I'm 49. I was born in 1972. I'm an old guy. 40,000. Oh, I like Loreville too. Yeah, no, I get that. So here we are. Let's cross our fingers and hope this is a Quantanium field, but it looks like it is an aluminum, titanium, and a corundum and bexylite in there. What about these two? 5122 mass. That's a 2% Quantanium, so we'll try and scan the other one. We'll close on them a little bit. So one of them was a 2%er. And we just want to scan the other one just to see, because lots of times these, twin has a nice rock next to it. But let's just see what we get. We haven't had that luck yet today. And that is a 43.95% Quantanium rock at 4,600. That's an excellent rock. Okay, so we got a cluster. This is what we're out here looking for. Smee says he's 40. Yeah, welcome to the club, man. Being in their 40s is weird, right? Because you're 39, and then you're like, let's say you're 42 or 43. Well, I was just 39. I mean, I'm not that old. But then you get to be 49. He's like, oh no, I'm almost 50. I'm old. You're not old per se. I mean, obviously 50 is maybe the new 40, and I do think, we live a different life than the people, who lived before us. That being said, every day is a blessing. Every day is a blessing in life, and every day that you're healthy, and every day that you can, do the things that you love and enjoy your family, and just have, and do that type of thing. Every day is a blessing, and you really want to treat it that way, and that's not lost on me at all. So this is a nice rock, everybody. This is a 43.95, a 44%er at 4,600. Yeah. So you've got this is about 35 SCU or so. Siren Industries, you can also mine in the mole. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes, this could be a unicorn if it breaks up well. Phil, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Zeron says, how would Starfleet operate under the control of the Pentagon instead of Starfleet Command, if that makes sense? I don't know. I mean, I definitely think obviously Starfleet Command had some politics as well. That's a great question, and not one that I don't, not so sure I would be really good to answer that question for sure. If it breaks well, that Joel says. And then Siren is making an excellent point. How you doing, Siren? It's nice to see you today. Siren is saying, you can mine in the mole as well, and you can actually solo mine in the mole. And for me, and people do love to do that. I definitely don't like soloing in the mole as much as some people do. I never begrudge anybody who has more energy than I do to do it, though. I did when I first got the mole. I did a ton of solo mining in the mole, but I have decided it's so fun when you get 2 or 3 people in the mole who know what they're doing, and it's such a blast. It's one of my favorite ships, the mole, as you can imagine. But hey, you know, having a full crew in there is so much funner than that tedious thing of running back and forth yourself. Brian Grossi says, I was born in 56. That makes me 66. Sir, 66 years old is, you know, fantastic. I often do think I was born in 72. Often do think about the people who are a little older than me. You know, and obviously still blessed that both my parents are alive. You know, but I can really appreciate. I have seen in Star Citizen does attract, you know, us older types a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a healthy mix of older players and young players. I have talked to people that are in their 70s and one fellow who is approaching his 80s who plays this game. So that's cool. I mean, that's really fantastic, and I do hope someday that you know that I can, you know, stop working and just kind of enjoy the kind of those days in life a little bit more and do that kind of thing. So at a 1.87 instability, we should be able to handle this without a brand because most of it is soaked into this mass. You've got to kind of play it pretty close to the cuff here. Phil says I'm 48. Hey Phil, nicely done. That would 73, eh? Nice. Yeah, you know, like I said, the 50s are one of those weird, or the 40s are one of those weird times because when you're less than 45, you know, when you're 44, whatever, it's like, hey, I was just in my 30s, but then when you get north of 45, you're like, hey, man, the 50s are right there. You know, so it's one of those funny things. So that's a good sign right here, right off the bat. There's not going to be nothing in this rock. Joel says I mine with no consumables. You know, I can appreciate that. I think it definitely could make it a little funner. This is probably going to be a hundo. That's a 100%er at 517. That's excellent. It looks like this rock might have broke good. Craig Blair says, curious, does Quant Prospector beat rock mining? Use my Xeno Connie funds to pay for a prospector, but I've come across a couple streamers who rock all day, and it just has me wondering, well, first of all, rock mining's fun. You know, there's a lot of... I enjoy the rock mining loop. I think it's a blast. This is going to be another hundo. Look at how cleanly this guy broke, you guys. It's excellent. And so rock mining is fantastic. Is this going to be another? That's a 74. Okay. And then this is probably going to have nothing, I'm thinking maybe. Yep. Okay. So we've got a 74. That's a hundo. Let me just tap these guys one more time. This was nothing. That's a hundo, and I think this guy was nothing. Yep. All right. So we're going to break the 74 first. Then we're going to break the two hundos, and then we're going to scoop. And so I think you make... I think that prospecting is far more lucrative than rock mining, and there's a couple of reasons for that right now. This is the 74. We're going to break that. Triple filter mods myself. You know, I think I do have the FLTRXL on here. In this particular case, we'll see. You know, we may need that for that last bit there. I definitely tend to find that prospecting is a lot more lucrative than rock mining, and I love rock mining. I think I will never sneeze at rock mining. And I love the loop. I love the idea of offloading the industrial vehicles, working as a team. I also have a video, you guys, of me breaking rock minables with the prospector. You can pop a whole field of those in less than 3 minutes. You can 0% the laser and just turn it on and off in the greens. I recommend using a Lancet for that, but you can actually pop those rock minables and just have your ROC team scoop. It's actually a cool thing to do. One prospector, as your scout ship, you know, can break up the rocks and move on while your rock miners are extracting. Now, the one thing that bothers me a little bit about extracting right now, or that rock mining, is the extraction part of it. The extraction part of it's a little bit, I don't know. It's a little bit, you know, where you get that thing swirling around your laser. So that's a little bit frustrating. But it's not terrible. All right, so we found the nice rock out here, and we're working on it. Only got about 14 left in the brand. I'll have to refire on this one. bringing this down to a healthy place. And sometimes I will just, you know, as I'll just talk as I'm mining here. You know, sometimes I will say I lose focus on the chat a little bit. I hope that you guys can understand. It's one of those things where I want to break up the rocks clean. And so I definitely will spend a little more time staring at the optimal window than the chat when I do this stuff. And no disrespect, you know, obviously everybody likes a few fireworks, but I try not to blow myself up out here if at all possible. But you see me abusing the brants, absolutely abusing the heck out of the brants. I have no problem doing that. And yeah, off we go. So Craig says, Arda, sometimes they're supposed to remember stats. Rocco, sometimes they bug out. Oh yeah, if you do pop the laser on them, just pop, pop, it will sometimes remind them that they're supposed to scan. Sometimes you can get into a spot where the purples just won't rescan, and you actually have to turn on the extraction laser and see if it's pulling in quant or not. So yeah, there's a little bit, you know, I've always said, and I think everybody gets a giggle out of it, I've always said Star Citizen's a little like having an old car. You get in, you turn the radio handle, move the shifter up and down, press the clutch, and then maybe you know, look down and maybe press a couple buttons to change the, you know, change the cruise control, and all of a sudden your door locks will pop open. You know, you gotta learn. There's a little bit of that where you get a little of experience at those things, and yeah, so it has its own way of doing things. Dustin says, Craig, I find that the ROC at times will not pick up gems. I think the server tick rate issue frustrating. They only spin around, and yes, I tend to find that is a thing too right now, which is one of the main reasons I don't rock mine more. Is the extraction thing is a little bit, I don't know, the animation's weird. Anyway, so I think we're ready to start scooping here. This is gotta be a pretty good sized rock here. Yeah, it's almost 300. There might be one behind that guy, if I'm not mistaken, that I don't see, but I could be wrong. That's weird. All right, let's just kind of give these guys some scans and see how we do. Another hundo, well, 99.99. We'll take it. Alrighty. Another hundo. We'll take it. And we're starting to cross the, you know, we're going to get across 20 SCU here. That's fantastic. Almost 21. Kind of respecting the scans at this point. So Articliff is asking, what do I use? That's a 19%er. We'll leave that guy alone. We'll kind of go over here to these other purples. I have an FLTRXL on you know, in the first slot, and 2 Brants in the second slot, and third slot. So that's what I normally run with. That's, you know, it's a pretty vanilla build, but I do really well with it. You know, for the bad breaks, you do get a little filtering. But you know, the good news is you know, you do have a couple of Brants on board to flatten out the Quantanium. So the Brants are really good at making Quantanium mining very manageable and almost enjoyable, quite honestly. So we're crossing that magic threshold. We've got 30 SCU on board. We could ring the bell here if we get another hundo. There she is. That's going to bring us to a unicorn out of the Aaron Halo, which is always one of those things. I keep meaning to get myself a bell, you know, like, so I can ring it when I get a uni on board. So we're going to back away slowly from these two. We're going to kind of orientate ourselves towards Arc L1. And we are going to spool up and head into Arc L1. So, yeah, that's awesome. I love when I get a uni. And you can see I probably had to fly around there. No exaggeration. Probably in the neighborhood of 20 minutes. It may be even more. I don't know. Sometimes I get a little lost in our conversation. So we went to Lyria. We found, you know, a 6,046-something percenters, 40-some percenter that we couldn't mine. There was a consolation prize there. We ended up with about 19 SCU on board. Decided to come out to the Halo, flew around for a little while, had a nice conversation, and boom, found pulled any uni. So whenever we get a uni on board, we're always happy with that. It was a good rock. There was a little bit left there too. So for one of the arguments that could be made is when you have a mole, if I would have had a mole with me, I absolutely could have got a few more SCU there. And it's a reasonable argument. And for those people who do solo mole, I applaud you for having, that kind of drive to run back and forth between the lasers, and the helm. So, I don't necessarily do that, but look, I certainly left some thousands on the table there, and it's a reasonable argument to be made. Darkside says, I don't go anywhere without my Surge, Brand, and FLTRL. I can appreciate that, and I know For or Razor always preaches the Surge on here, and I think it's a reasonable argument. There was a 6,000 mass that I could not mine today that would have been a second uni had I had a Surge on board. Craig Blair says, I encountered that when giving a rock shot yesterday, decided to go back to the Prospector. Connie's lift is a bit troublesome. The Connie Taurus, I've had pretty good luck with the lift. I would rock mine more, even if I made just a few bucks rock mining. I would rock mine more if the gems didn't circle around the extraction thing. Even if I could find some workaround, like turning the thing on and off or whatever. I would rock mine more. That's the one thing that it kind of turns off ROC mining for me right now. Craig says, generally I use the Lancet, almost necessary. I 100% agree. The Lancet has the, for lack of a better term, the debuffs that make the quant mining, it settles the rocks down a little bit, and I agree with that 100%. Sylvain says solo mining is about positioning and time management. Absolutely. If you solo mole, definitely position is an important thing. But soloing in general, there can be some time management involved in it. And then Smee says, I use Surge, Stampede, and Focus. It's, that's the one thing I will say. I appreciate that. I appreciate that everybody has kind of the thing that they've gotten comfortable with. I think it's so important that the meta is that people are doing whatever it is that's good for, that they've gotten comfortable with. I don't think that there's any one right way to do this. I think the right way is what you enjoy and what makes you, what makes you a successful miner. And I always am open to the arguments that people make about those types of things. All right, so we do have a ship in here. I do see a blue. That doesn't necessarily mean there's trouble, but got to keep our head on the swivel here. So Darkside says, I must be in the minority, but I really enjoy the solo mole and running between the Lancet Healer. You know what? If you enjoy that, like I said, I tip my hat. I think that that's okay. When I first got my mole, I solo mined a lot. I have just gone back to the Prospector for soloing. I'm blessed in the fact that at least once a week I get to go mole mining with some competent miners who are really, really fun to have on board. We drink some wobbly pops and have a little bit of fun with it, So I do feel blessed. Now, Fours, he's got a new system inbound. As a matter of fact, his GPU died. As you can imagine, in this day and age, your GPU dying, how sucky that is. But yeah, so he's got a new system inbound, so he's not around right now too much. I miss him dearly. But for the most part, though, I am blessed that I get to mole mine. We have a weekly operation that we run. And so you get so spoiled. I think that's probably maybe the word I'll use, Darkside, is I'm so spoiled with... There's nothing funner in Star Citizen, to me, truly, than having 3 people on the laser. I'm at the helm. They do all the work. I just position the ship. We have good communication. And then we pull in that 93 SCU of Quantanium. That is that is just fantastic. And, I like making money in Star Citizen, but I don't need to make it. I enjoy rock mining. I'll just go do it just because it's fun. Hey, there's Mr. Azai. How are you, sir? What up, man? Playing some Lost Ark and listening to you. May the mining gods be with you. They have been. I'm bringing in a uni right now, man. So they've been good to me today. So for sure. And I have been meaning to try Lost Ark, and I have been reading that the Paladin is sneaky powerful. So it sounded to me like you made the right choice early. Of course, I always tend to go for caster types, and so. And I was like, I can't. I want to be a sorcerer, not a sorceress. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's a hang. I'm an old man. It's a hang up. You know what I mean? I'll admit it. But yeah, man, I've heard that the paladins are pretty OP in that game, or pretty, at least they're dialed in. So that's awesome, dude.
Landing complete. Have a pleasant
Craig
stay.
Blair says, looking forward to exploring what you're talking about, Darkside. Just a few more prospector runs and I'll be there. Craig, there's nothing. It's a proud moment as a miner when you have earned your mole. It is. When I first started this game, there's first alarm there. With we're just bringing in the uni now, so we just heard first alarm as we're getting out of the chair. So, when I first started this game, I did hand mining till I could afford the prospector, or till I could afford. Pardon me. I hand mined till I could afford the ROC. I ROC mined till I could afford the prospector. I lost the prospector in a wipe and promptly went out and bought it because I felt like I'd earned it in game. And then I prospector mine to the mole, and it's one of those things where you really, when you finally do cross that line, and you got a decent hauler. I have a Taurus, but now I use the M2 as my main hauler because I like going hanger to hanger. I dig that. And also the 500 SCU is pretty nice as well. But when you get that mole, the first time you climb into it's your mole. And you climb into it, it's a hell of a good feeling. I mean, you earned it. You didn't just run out and there's nothing wrong with buying it with cash. Whatever, if you have the type of life that allows you that, absolutely. But you're gonna, if you earn it in game, you put your nose to the grindstone and busted your ass and got out there and mined for it. It's a good feeling, man. It's one of the best feelings I had in the game. So, all right, we're gonna store this guy for sure. And head down to the refinery and get this guy cooking here. So, and one of the things you probably know if you watch the stream a little bit, I do use my elevator time to do a little bit of shameless plugging, and I'll do that now. So, a couple of things. SpectreFleet.space it's an excellent organization. Wonderful human beings. Super professional. It's not in any way pretentious. And there's no, you can come and go. I have a family. There are times I can't make things. Nobody, all we do is just want you to learn and play Star Citizen and enjoy. So SpectreFleet.space is an excellent organization. If you're looking for a super cool group of guys, please check out the website. No pressure. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's not. It's all good. I will mention QuantCalc. That's the Quantanium calculator that is a it's an app. It's on the Google Play Store and eventually will be on the iOS as well, where you can download it. It costs $1. It's a quick way to calculate how much SCU's in a single rock or a cluster. It's super handy tool, and there's going to be lots of other things that get added to it as well. And so I do like to mention those couple of things. Oh boy, am I going to be able to get through here? Sometimes you can do the jump. Watch. I'll show you guys. Jump. I did it. See, I've been able to jump past those guys before, so I know when they try to block you out. You could always go to the ladder too on the other side. So that's hilarious. All right, so we've got the 3199. We got the uni on board. And we will Dynamic Solvenation. We'll get a quote for that guy, and it will be 1 day, 18 hours, and we will be very happy with that result. So we went out today. We picked up a little, obviously our 18 SCU. We picked up 38 SCU. That's 48 SCU on the stream here today. Nothing terrible, nothing to write home about, but absolutely proud of the work that we did. One of the things I don't run my. I know lots of people who in Star Citizen they grind and they stream for tens of hours and bless them for that. And I mean, we're really blessed in this community. We're really blessed in this community to have people that have their nose to the grindstone. I like to jump on. I like to do a couple of mining runs, and I like to take off. And I think that those are the nice, compact, instructional things. And I get to talk a little bit of Star Citizen, and we get the theory craft and those types of things. And I am going to have a regular schedule at some point. I know I don't do it now, but that's coming for sure. And a lot of you people who come on board are people who come back, and I want to tell you how much I really appreciate that. I see your names. I recognize who you are. I really don't ever want to become so big that I don't remember that you and I talked about something. It's important to me that that we talk to each other about the mining stuff, and we have a chance to just kind of have an outlet, to just chat mining. I learn from this community a ton. I learn, the people who come to my stream teach me all the time about things that they're trying, places that they go, that type of thing. It's super rewarding, and I know it's kind of weird, but I've always considered myself a touch, like if you ever watch Bob Ross paint, I've said this before, the joy he gets from painting. I truly enjoy mining. I absolutely adore doing it. I hope that comes through in the stream. I wanted to thank you all for joining me today, for sure. I'm absolutely going to be doing more of these. Please stop in if you have any questions. Please check out SpectreFleet.space if you are interested in a good organization with a lot of great guys. We love to teach you how to play Star Citizen. It doesn't have to be mining. We have an unbelievable Marine Corps. We have absolutely fantastic fighter pilots. We have instructional stuff for large ships and logistics. We have a medical team that's second to none that will teach you all the basics and advanced mechanics of medical stuff. We have a lot of very competent players. So I'll leave it at that. Have a lovely day. Good luck out there. Keep on digging, and I will see you all around the verse.